Welcome everyone. Today I am going to teach you how to draw a mug and then I will do a few crazy shaped ones, just for fun. Let's create. The shape of a mug is basically a rectangle to which you add the handle like so. You then draw an ellipse. Right about here it will be the line of the liquid that is inside. Alright, that's pretty much it for the sketch. Let's say we've got coffee inside. Okay. Let's imagine the light is coming from this side. Right, so this means most of the light will be in this area and this other part will be somewhat in darkness. So knowing that, let's shade it here. I'm just using some simple technique for shading, just parallel lines. I think I made a little mistake here, because if we judge by the perspective, we can see a bit inside the cup. So the way I drew the bottom here is too flat. It should be rounded because the mug is rounded. So the bottom of the cup, of the mug, sorry, should be parallel to this edge right here. So let's fix that. Should look more like this. When shading it, most important aspect is to layer. You cannot shade it all at once. This side will get some shade, but not a lot. I think we can move on to using 2B. Redefining the edges. I think it's better for it not to be too sharp. So I'm gonna dull it a bit by scribbling on its tip. So just from up to down or from down to up, parallel lines. Try to bring the lines close together. Try to apply less pressure because this is the light side of it, the light coming from this angle. So this is supposed to be in the light. Use 4H or 3H for this. You can use the 4H or 3H to blend in this part where we have used the 2B. You can press harder here. Now remember, you have to have patience. You do have to apply a few layers, otherwise it'll look flat. Moving back to 2B. Actually 2B is not dark enough at this stage, so we are going to use a 4B. Blending a bit with the 4H again. Okay, I will try to smooth it using a brush. It's just a simple nylon brush. Don't press too hard though. Try to use the same movement up and down. And don't press too much here because this is the light part. I mean the side where the light hits the mug. Continuing to layer with the 4B. Moving on to 6B. This is where the darkest part will be. For here the light doesn't quite reaches. I will say it again, you do need a lot of patience for this. You have to layer it, and if you don't have patience, if you don't stick to it, it's not gonna look as it should look like. It's just gonna look flat, and yeah. So do have patience. Keep applying layers so you can get that desired effect. I'll use the brush again to smooth out. The layer I've just applied with 6B. So this will take some time, but as I said, it's better to be patient so you have better result. It's better if you just draw half an hour a day every day than 5 hours once every week or so, or once every 2 weeks. Using 2B again. I'm trying to make the transition from dark to light. So guys, if you find any value in this, if this is helpful or at least entertaining to watch, please drop a like, leave a comment, and yeah, subscribe for future videos. I'm darkening the edge here right as the mug curves, right? Because if light is hitting this part, if the surface of the mug curves this way, right, there will be less light hitting this part, so obviously it darkens. So I'm using 6B to darken this part. Don't press too hard, just gentle strokes, parallel and close together. And as you shade out of this area, you need to press not so hard anymore. So you make a nice transition. Because here light is hitting more of the mug than it's doing here. So you need to show how light is gradually fades as you go from this side to this other side. In order for you to learn how to do this, you need to practice value scale. Going back to 2B to make this transition. Pressing lightly. Now, as I said for this part, where the curvature of the mug goes this way, obviously same thing happens for this other side, and this side will also need to be more in the shadow. I'm going to 4B now. And back to 2B. Because I feel this part over here is too light. Even if there's reflected light coming from this side, it's a bit too much, I guess. So I'll try to cover it a bit. Okay, and now I'm doing this other side. From here to here. Moving back to 4H. Cover this part where the light hits the mug. It's a bit too because there's still the white of the paper showing through. So feel free to turn the page as you feel like you need to in order to be able to make the line you need. Okay, it feels like there's a bit too much white here. So the color of the paper is showing through. And I think it's best if I use a bit of 4H to cover it. To make it look like it's not transparent. Back to 2B. So the inside of the mug, right? I decided it's gonna be coffee, and I'm trying to make the bubbles of the coffee, which is not so easy. I never even did this, so I don't have experience with this one. But this is what drawing is. Drawing is challenge. Every time you're gonna encounter something you never drew, and you're gonna have to learn how to deal with it and how to represent it using some graphite and a piece of paper. Yep. I'm taking the simplest approach, which is probably not the best. I'm just making little circles, because when coffee foams up, you get the bubbles. I'm hoping that once I blend it, it'll look a bit better, more realistic, maybe, hopefully. I don't know. Drawing is an adventure, believe me. Drawing is an adventure. You'll have to learn as you go. I'm gonna use this 6B because coffee is, well, very dark. Kinda looks like beer right now. Oh man, this is crazy. So I'm gonna try to blend it a bit. Maybe I should use the brush. Trying to represent a bit of shadow inside, on the inside of the cup. This other side as well. I'm using a 2B for this. Oops. This type of eraser, which is called a plastic eraser, is so good, so useful. You can mold it into any shape you want and use as you need. One thing I forgot to do is to hold a piece of paper under my hand. If you can see, I smudged this side. Just take a little piece of paper like this and place it over the drawing so you can rest your hand on it, so you don't smudge the drawing anymore. Don't forget to constantly sharpen your pencil. Okay, I guess the mug is pretty much done. So by learning the value scale, by practicing it, this is how you'll then be able to make the transition from dark to light or the other way around, and make objects look 3D and not just a flat, simple sketch. I'm making these lines over here a bit thinner because as the light hits from this side, it'll shine on this opposite side. And if you get a lot of light, your lines shouldn't be so dark. And the way to show that is to make thinner lines. Alright, so here's the crazy mug designs now. And here's the 5 crazy mugs. Would you drink from any of these? Please leave a comment and tell me which one you like more.